allow me to go to Dr. Naresh Trehan. Dr. Naresh Trehan, my first question, we have hit the 400 marker in parts of Delhi. It's only going to get worse when it comes to the air quality index. But as a doctor, as somebody who's been extremely vocal about what poor air quality index means for people living in Delhi, my first question to you, doctor, what has changed over the last few days?
Because people are having a lot of trouble. We have got 3 times the number of people coming in for respiratory problems. Children coming in with respiratory problems, with exacerbation of their asthma, and the elderly people with the chronic lung disease are already in trouble. So this is just the beginning. So you can see what we are in for.
So, Dr. Naresh Trehan, if you're saying that, there's a 3x or 3 times rise in cases, what do you really mean by it? In how much of a time has this happened? If you could give us some comparisons to that.
No, normally, our OPDs are seeing X number of patients a day who come in for asthma, or children coming with respiratory or spasm. Then that number has tripled in the last 2-3 days, ever since this air quality has been deteriorating.
Dr. Naresh Trehan, let me just ask you one more question. Before I just go to the other panelists as well. 33,000 deaths. That's what 10 cities in India have witnessed over a span of time, a decade, according to the Lancet report. 33,000 deaths due to pollution, of which at least 12,000 are in Delhi alone. Dr. Naresh Trehan, what do you make out of this?
Yeah, so you see, it's not a surprise, because many years ago, we documented the difference between the lungs of people who are living in cities like Delhi and people who are living in Himachal or Uttarakhand and the mountains, where the air is much cleaner. I see them every day in the operating room. And it's become such a standard fare that we can tell just by looking at the lungs that they are city dwellers where pollution levels are high, because their lungs have streaks of charcoal, grey lungs, as compared to the pink baby type lungs in people who live in mountains and cleaner air. So we are actually, it's not a theoretical thing. It's a practical problem that we are actually seeing the damage being done on a daily basis. So people who are exposed to it, especially people who have pre-existing conditions like lung problems, especially the elderly and young children, are the worst victims of it. So kids play out in the field. Now, the only thing that you can help people with is the idea that during the day, when the sun is out in full blaze, the air gets heated and it rises. So the pollution level does come down in the middle of the day. And then again, as the sun sets, the air cools down and it starts descending back on Earth, and then it gets trapped here. So that's why we always say, especially to the elderly, that do not go out in the early hours or late hours of the evening. Do always, if you are going to go out, do it in the middle of the day. Children should not be playing outside very early or late in the evening, because the air quality keeps dropping. So that's why I think it's important for people to be aware of the fact that children who are already suffering from any respiratory disease like asthma and all should wear masks during this period if they are going to be exposed outside. People who can get access
in fact, Dr. Naresh,
air purifiers, of course, helps.